Bonehead?
Hey, do you know about the USA?
You
Do
wish.
you know about the government? Can you tell me about the
Yeah, yeah.
Constitution? Hey,
Right.
learn about the
Lol.
USA.
But the people have rights, okay? And you're a servant of the people, right? So you're not one of the people because you're a servant of the people, right? So it's okay for me to call you a name because you consented when you agreed to go under oath and protect the Constitution and thereby my rights. Right, and that is very laudable. I appreciate that if that's what you're doing, right? That's awesome. But that doesn't mean that it's nice to call people names, right? It can be hurtful. It's not always hurtful, but it can be hurtful to call people names, right? Now, let's say that, I mean, you told me your name was Wanda, okay? Now, if I mean, it might not bother you, right? But generally speaking, when somebody tells you their name is Wanda, I wouldn't go and call them Juan, right? I wouldn't shorten it or change it or, you know what I mean? Like, that's what they said they wanted to be called, right? And so at the same time, right, like, I can't stop you from calling me a name, but I haven't given you permission to do it, right? Because it's not okay. I don't believe that they're. I believe that they're very hurtful, right? And I don't like being called names by, well, by my government, right? The people on the street don't use names in hurtful ways, but the government does, right? They do, and they do, right? And it's always done. You know what I mean? And it's not really like I tell people my name, right? So like somebody at 7-Eleven, say, right? They're working, right? But they're still one of the people, but they're in their person. They put a barrier between them and their rights while they're working. They might have to wear a uniform, right? Or, they're not allowed to say certain things. I mean, they got to clean the bathroom. Things they don't want to do, right? Like, so obviously they don't have their rights anymore, right? Because now they have privileges and they get a paycheck instead, right? And like, let's say that they wanted to go out in front of the store on the sidewalk and start protesting the police or something, right? They would probably see their privilege get attacked, right? So, people would, if anything you do controversial, right? So, like, if you wanted to take a stance on abortion, per se, right in front of your job, that's not really a good idea, right? It's not, because you're going to get your privileges attacked, right? And you might get kicked out, and then, yeah, you can protest there all day long, but you don't have your privileges anymore. You can't have them both at the same time. Does that make sense, Wanda? Yeah, but you are not working at 7-Eleven. You took an oath, right? And at that very moment, things changed, and you became a person, right? You became a public servant as opposed to a 7-Eleven. They're not a public servant. They're in public service. They're in their person. And when they get off work, they're one of the people. But, I mean, they're not going to risk their privileges too much because they could get attacked depending on what job it is or whatever, right? Like, depending on what kind of privileges you have, privileges are very enticing, They are, right? They're alluring. You know what I mean? Money, status, right? All those are privileges, right? Like, I think you get free coffee at 7-Eleven as a police officer. That's a privilege, huh? You don't drink it, but I'm just saying, like, that's an example of a privilege. You know what I mean? Like, there's all kinds of privileges are fine, but, you don't have both at the same time. Well, like, you have to have your name on your shirt. I mean, I can't see it, but it's on your shirt. I know it is, right? But I don't have to tell you a name, right? And that right there shows there's a big difference between you and I right now.
Oh, thank God.
Realize, realize, realize by breaking the person curse. Yeah. Right?